And we're live, I think. We're all live. So, Mike, why
Are
don't you
we?
introduce us? Yeah.
It doesn't even say it says go live on my end. There it is.
Oh,
So
so weird.
finally
Here
it's
we
on
are.
there. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Comic Book Weekly. Hopefully you guys will enjoy today's show. I have Kat Comic Uno right next to me. I'm finally
Hello.
back on after a couple of weeks. Brant should be here. He went to go take a nap earlier, and hopefully he wakes up in time for today's show because we have a jam-packed show based off of all the San
So
Diego
much.
Comic-Con news. I mean, this is why there was no news for weeks on end, but now it was a thing where I was like, I need to come on this show to talk about all this great stuff. And, so we will dive into it. Like I said, hopefully Brant does wake up. That's the goal here. I told him to set up an alarm, but alarms don't mean anything when you
No.
hit that snooze button.
Yeah, I think he said it. I will say, I was like, I gotta be on time. Sometimes on Tuesday, I'm a little late because I'm packing for Kickstarters. But I was like, nope, at 10 on the dot, I left because I'm gonna be on time for this. So we have so much to talk about. We have a
Oh my
lot.
God.
So much. I was at San Diego, so I'm tired. But
How was
it was
it?
really good. So I think it's okay, so it was less people than usual. It was definitely less people, and there probably wasn't there wasn't the DC television shows like that. But as a comic creator, I really loved the show because I got to run into so many people. I got to hang out with a lot of people. I was like walking the floor and like Tom Taylor said hi to me. Like that's like how, I won't say how little people there were, but that it just felt more of a community of people about comics and the television shows that it has been. It doesn't feel like an entertainment convention anymore. It felt like a comic convention, and this was the best San Diego I've ever had for
Oh,
sure.
that's
Just because
good.
it felt, and I was on 2 panels too, so that was really cool. Got to talk about Kickstarter. I was on a panel with Jimmy Palmiotti, so that was really cool. Talked about YouTube, so yeah, no, it was a really good experience. And I remember back in the day, I would love to buy stuff, love to go on the floor. I didn't buy anything. It was just me just hanging out and just like talking to my peers and just talking about comics and seeing where it's going. So I will say reading my comics this week was a struggle because I was like reading on the plane and I had like 3 left and it took me so long to read those 3 because the whole week I was so like burnt out and like jet lag and all that. But it was a really good. And then when it came to news, there's some really cool stuff to talk about. Like a lot of cool, I got to go see panels because I was actually there for work. So I covered a lot of panels. So it was cool to kind of like hear the news on
That's
the floor.
awesome. That is really awesome. I remember seeing all that news filter in on our doc, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's got to be absolutely insane of what's going on." And man, oh man, that's cool that you had a good time. It's good that it seemed like a lot of people that went had a good time, and it was just good to have that con back. I even heard that. I don't know. I was watching a couple other things, or like I think I was actually watching Marvel's live stream, and they were like, "Oh, it's not as busy as it usually is, but it's actually nice," So which was kind of cool.
It felt like just the right amount of people. It didn't feel like, oh, there's no one here. It just felt just right, and I liked it. And one really good thing was that there was a mask mandate, so everyone had a mask. And what's really interesting, and I already had COVID like a month ago, so I wasn't as worried. But people like who went to MegaCon and like other conventions where there weren't a mask, everyone was getting COVID. Like I got COVID, and then I'm seeing on my Twitter timeline, no one's getting COVID from San Diego. And they're like, oh, still negative. And I'm like, oh, that feels so nice that we were able to get together and like have a safe time. And, it seems like limited people are getting COVID. So that felt really nice as well.
That's cool. So first off, I just want to welcome the few people that are on so far right now. We're just trying to build a little bit of an audience and see if Brant gets on the show before we start talking. Joshua's on. He says, "Hey everyone." Willie's on. He says, "What's up, everyone?" Tevye is on. He gives a winky emoji, and then he, obviously asked how San Diego was. Mike Manhattan goes, thoughts on the Massiverse? Anyone picking up Dead Lucky or Inferno Girl Red?
So that was one of the panels I went to. It was a 10 in the morning panel, so there wasn't a lot of people at it, but that one, it felt so intimate, and I really liked hearing what these books were about. Inferno Girl, I already knew because of the Kickstarter, but Dead Lucky sounded really freaking interesting. It's like about PTSD, a soldier coming back, and like I already knew the book was coming out, but I knew nothing about it. So hearing from like the floor, I was like, oh, this sounds really, really cool. And it looks cool too.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead. Did Brant message us by chance or no?
No, but I'll message him just in case.
Okay.
That way, if he jumps on, he jumps on. But I have a feeling he's gonna be sleeping through it. All right, I said, how's it going, Brant? But yeah, let's get into that news. We're gonna do the comic news first, and then we'll do the. Well, which one would you rather? Do you want to do the media news or the comic news? Because there's actually more comic pieces, but obviously there's big pieces from. You know what? Let's do media first. Let's do media, and then Brant can catch up. He was the only one who wanted to talk about Lord of the Rings. So if you guys were waiting for that long Lord of the Rings news, we're not going to talk about it unless he comes on.
Right.
The other thing, this was actually before Comic-Con, but Alan Scott, he's like comedic actor. He's going to be in a mystery role for Madam Web. The only reason I want to talk about this is because there's so many interesting actors in this movie. It's either going to be the worst movie ever or like the best movie, because there's just like sounds so weird who's like attached to this project.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Until they give us some kind of trailer or who these characters are going to play as, like I don't know. I mean, this could be a oversaturation amount of characters, or they could just have like little cameos, that it really doesn't affect the movie all that much. But I'm really curious about this one. Like, man, I don't know. I don't even know what to think at all. Like, I can't even speculate what a Madam Web movie could be about, especially if it takes place in the Sonyverse.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree on that one. All right, let's get into the next thing. You wanted to talk about this. I will say Walking Dead was there, but usually it used to have such a big presence, and then they're like, all right, whatever. Walking Dead, So Rick and Michonne are getting a spin-off series.
So I'm excited about that.
You're excited?
Yeah, because those are the two main characters that left the show. What made me leave the show, and I don't know, or was it Maggie that left this show? I think it was Maggie and Rick or whatever.
She's back.
And then Maggie came back. But whatever the case may be, it's just like with Rick leaving the show, it was just such a disappointment. And the show was just never the same. But with Rick coming back, he adds that element to it. And I think it would, even though it's like a spinoff show, I feel like it's going to give it a little bit more closure. And I think people would watch it for him. Just because he's the main character. I just thought, what they did by killing him off, it just wasn't the right thing to do. And so I'm excited because I like those two characters together. I really do.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next thing, which is X-Men 97 first look. The animation looked really interesting for this. I will say, I think X-Men 97 is a little overhyped in my opinion. So I'm like, I'm excited for people to watch it and for people who love the show, great. But yeah, I'm not as excited. I'm not from that generation. So.
Well, I am from that generation, so I actually am excited for it. And that show was really good. I mean, for years, you would go Saturday morning and just tune in, turn on that TV, and you get that show coming back. It's going to bring back the fans, at least for a little while, just to see how it turns out. Now, if it's any good, that's a whole other different story, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, that's funny. He blasts me, cat. Yeah,
it probably is. I know it's not a popular opinion, and I again respect the show completely, and I think it's a good show.
It set the standard for X-Men.
Yeah,
I mean, it put the X-Men at a high bar when you had that show and you had those comics being released at that same time with Jim Lee and Claremont and everybody else. Think about the status of X-Men. That's why people put X-Men on this pedestal, and now it can't be matched ever, because of those things. So you either watched that show, read those comics, or you did both, at least in my generation anyway. And you just can't duplicate that at all. That it just hasn't been matched since. So
Mike says, I'm a year older than you and I've watched it. I have seen the show. I just didn't grow up with the show. Like I didn't watch it as a kid. Like I watched it maybe in like high school. And I was like, oh.
You probably looked at it and you're like, oh, that animation kind of sucks.
Exactly. But again, I know where it holds in society. I think it's an important show. I just think some people treat it as God, and I don't think it's a godly show. Australian Wolverine is not a godly show. I picked up She Bites today, as well as I heard it was a great read. My comic book store owner said he loved it. I saw the cover for that. I didn't know it came out last week. I thought it was coming out later.
I have it. I read it this week.
We might talk about it. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll just talk about it because since you didn't, because I
go for it. That's true. There's not a big conversation.
Yeah, I mean it'll be a good comic to talk about later on. I think you might like it. It's a quick read. Not a lot happens in it, but there's enough of a premise where you're like, oh, this is pretty freaking awesome. The main character is great. I actually never expected anything out of it, and I'm like, I need issue 2 from it.
I think it's a Scout comic. I want to, it's Scout Comics. So that's pretty cool. All right, moving on to speaking of more of these Marvel animation shows, we have Spider-Man Freshman Year. Now, this is what I'm excited for. The designs look phenomenal. I am so excited for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is something that everyone is going to watch this because we haven't had, I think, a Spider-Man cartoon show in quite a while now that kind of everybody could watch, right? I mean, it's been a while. So I loved seeing all the different types of, characters, the Rogues Gallery. It just kind of stays. It's weird because it kind of stays true to Spider-Man, but yet we're seeing it in a timeline that we've never seen before in a show or a cartoon or anything like that, because this is basically when he first gets started, right?
Yeah. Let's see. Next is Marvel Zombies R-rated first look. This also looked. I wasn't excited. I watched the What If episodes, I think up to like episode 3 or so, and I didn't love it. I was like, I'm a little bored. This looked cool. This, I was like, oh, they brought really cool character designs to this one as well. I was like, all right, I'll probably give a first episode for this.
So if you watch the Marvel Zombies episode in What If, it was really good. It was one of my favorite episodes of the series, and
it was later in the season, though, right?
Yeah,
I don't think I did watch it.
Yeah, it was later in the season, but I think you would like it. It was really well done, and I could see why it'll be rated R just because of the gore in itself. I don't think you can do a real, I don't think you can hit that the person that's watching that show without having it being a little gory and gruesome, right? I think you're gonna want that wow factor in there, and so in order to do that, they needed to make it rated R.
Yeah, for sure. This is just for me, but there's a new Avatar movie that'll focus on Aang, and they announced some new graphic novels. So they have Azula, who's going to have a graphic novel, of course, another core graphic novel. I'm just glad we're getting some trickling of news for Avatar. Obviously, they seem still in the process of doing things, but glad there's more Avatar in the future because I think it's a great franchise.
I haven't even seen the first movie all the way through.
Oh, no, different Avatar, Last Airbender.
Oh, Airbender. Okay, gotcha.
Although, yeah, no, Airbender is definitely better than the Avatar movie.
The Avatar, okay.
Which is, I don't blame that you have not seen all the way through. There is that new movie coming out, which my brother is very excited to see. He was a big Avatar fan.
Funny.
Avatar, not Last Airbender. All right, next, I want to not, because I was like, oh, let's talk about Shazam. That's kind of a bigger one. So let's talk about Black Adam. I actually did not watch this trailer because I've already seen the first trailer and the movie's coming out rather soon. I actually was not that impressed with the first trailer. I was like, it looks fine. I like The Rock. I'll go see it, but it didn't look like Shazam, which we'll talk about later.
I liked it. I thought it was absolutely fine. I didn't see the Shazam trailer. I think I didn't watch it.
Shazam's trailer was very good.
But I did see the Black Adam trailer, and I like it. I think this is like the first, besides Shazam, I think this is the first like DC movie where I'm like actually excited to see. And it looks good. Like it seems like it was like a legit DC universe movie type of thing, you know? And I think if there's somebody that can put some good movies out there, it is The Rock, though. Seriously.
The Rock is great. What I'm interested in with the movie, if it does well and I am and like it, is that it's an actual villain being the star, and then seeing where that goes, because the Joker was a very art film movie. I don't know if we could conclude that. So this is like a superhero movie about a villain being a star. Like, what type of story is it going to be? And they definitely show that in the first trailer. Again, I don't know about the second one, trying to go blind. And that actually goes into the She-Hulk trailer, which we can talk about next. I did not watch it for the same reasons. I saw the first trailer. I just want to watch the show.
She-Hulk?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had a text. I got to answer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. But yeah, have not seen She-Hulk, but in the comments, guys, let us know. We do have a question from Tevia. How do you feel about the Henry Cavill rumors being not true? I mean, they were rumors, and I don't really care that much. So I don't care about Henry Cavill being Superman, so it does not affect my life.
She-Hulk trailer, though, going back to that, I really liked it.
Okay. So again, I haven't seen it, have no impressions. So
yeah, so really good. Much better trailer than that teaser one that we got. And you actually get to see her kind of break that fourth wall in this trailer, which was cool. And it's just, you get to see her interact with Bruce in this trailer also. And you see a little bit more of the plot too. So I think this is going to be a good show. I really do. I think this might be a little bit underrated. And I think this might be better than what people are expecting.
Right. I think so too. It's a comedy. I'm excited for that. I think we've gotten a lot of dramas from Marvel, so I'm excited for a new genre.
Oh yeah. There was this comment right here. So Kat, you haven't seen Daredevil in his red and gold suit, yeah? So Daredevil he makes his appearance in the trailer at the end of it. So, and it looks like they're going to like either talk or face off against each other. I don't know, but
I'm not surprised.
He comes tumbling on the building. She faces him. You don't really see his face. He's got his batons in his hand, and he's just like getting ready to go. I mean, I don't know, man. It looks pretty freaking sick. I'm excited for this.
So next up, you did not see the Shazam trailer. I love this trailer. It was just like, it was the exact fun I was looking from the first movie, except it's, level up. We get to see the other heroes, the other Shazam family members being heroes, but they actually are not all on like the same page. They're like, oh, they're doing their own thing, and they like left me behind. So I think it's a cool take. They're a little older now. It just, again, looks so fun. And I was like, I'm actually excited for this movie.
I love the first movie. So this is definitely on my radar. I'm definitely going to see this movie. I think Shazam was like the best thing that DC came up with. And now that you have DC, Shazam, and then DC has Black Adam, I think between those two movies, I think maybe they can get something going here a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get into this Marvel news. So let's talk about the Cassie Lang first look. So they did show something. I did not go to the panel. I was covering other stuff for work. But they supposedly did show a clip for Ant-Man, which most likely will be shown with D23 being like next month. They'll probably do an Ant-Man trailer. But we did get a first look of Cassie Lang in the singer costume, and it looked cool. It looks comic accurate. That's pretty much all I have to say. It's purple. It's comic accurate.
Because Nick Spencer wrote that when she became
singer? Well, technically she came from the MC2, so that costume comes from Spider-Girl actually, and then they just reutilized it for the mainstream, which was Nick Spencer's run.
Gotcha. That'll be interesting to see, like the value of her comic of just like her becoming what she is now in the MCU.
True. And would it be the Spider-Girl one, or would it be the Nick Spencer one?
I don't know. It might be the Nick Spencer one, I think.
You think? Because it technically is not a first appearance, though.
Technically, but
the first appearance was the 90s.
it's a different universe, though.
That's true. I'd be curious. I'd be really curious to see which one ends up skyrocketing, or if they
The most important one would be the first appearance of Cassie, which is when
Avengers.
Do you know Avengers?
80s, I think, maybe 90s. I think it's probably Scott Lang's first appearance. It's probably Scott's.
You know the character more than I do, so I'm not sure.
Let me actually look. Cassie Lang. I think it's an Avengers book, but I think it's actually Scott Lang's first appearance. Let's see. Wikipedia. Marvel in 1979 was our first appearance. Marvel premiere issue 47 at Statcher's Young Avengers, and then Stinger. They do consider in Wikipedia the astonishing Ant-Man which is the Nick Spencer run, being her first appearance on Wikipedia.
Gotcha. Yeah, see, that's funny.
Oh, we will see.
I wonder if I still have that book or not. I think I do. Hopefully, I didn't sell it.
I hope not either, because that one I think will rise in prices a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go to. I'm going to talk about the Teen Wolf trailer real quick, just because I don't know if Brandt's coming. So I don't know if we need more Teen Wolf. I think it's interesting that Buffy the Vampire Slayer is going to be in it for some reason. But it looked fun. Allison's returning, so that's all I'll have to say.
How long has it been since Teen Wolf has been out, though?
Oh my god, I think it's probably like 10 years ago.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Oh, I was in high school, actually. I think it was like 10 years ago. It was like 2011, I think it came out. So
that's about right, because I remember way back when we started all this, you guys did a show on Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
And that was like one of our highest viewed videos that we ever did on the group
probably
channel.
To this day. I think it still is there and still our highest, which is very interesting. Yeah. Guys, go back on Comic Book Weekly and see that. But yeah, Teen Wolf, that's what's going on there. Now diving into the new Daredevil series, which we all saw coming, but the thing I guess I was surprised by was the episode count. It's almost 20 episodes, which is wild because they've been doing 6 episodes a season. So they gave a lot to Daredevil. 18, that's crazy.
Yeah. Listen, they probably got a story to tell there. You know what I'm saying? That's an interesting little tidbit right there. I did not know that.
I did not know that either. That's very so. For the audio listeners, Mike Manhattan says, "Did you know the original Teen Wolf movie was written by Jeff Loeb?" Did not know that.
That's crazy. But yeah, so Daredevil, 18 episodes. Like I said, they got a story to tell there, and I'm hoping that this is going to be good. I really do, man.
Yeah. No, I really do. Hope it does well. I appreciated the Daredevil series.
Daredevil. What'd you think of the original series?
I appreciated it, but I never watched season 3, so that's where I'm at.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't watch season 3. I jumped off the train. It wasn't for me. It was a little dense, and there wasn't really a character I latched onto, but I appreciate it. And I think I'll give this one a shot to see where it goes. If it actually continues from the original or not. I'm also curious to see if they just like try something new.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, so if he's doing like the gold and, maroon or red costume, that's kind of going back to his old days. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But they did an origin story of him, I think in the original series. I mean, shit, it's been a long time now since I've actually watch that series. I don't even remember it, to tell you the truth. All I remember was Kingpin was such a badass in that series. I was like, man, I liked it. But that first season was phenomenal. I remember him just kicking some butt in that series, and I loved it. I remember when he was in the hallway and he was doing like his acrobatics and he's just punching people in the face and everything. Oh my gosh, it was so cool.
From a cinematic standpoint, I really like Daredevil. Like, if you're just looking from a filmmaking perspective, it's like, wow, it's a really well done show. But as like just a fan, I was like you said, there's not like, I don't remember what happened. Like I don't remember much of the plot. It was just like this dark show that had a lot of good action. But yeah, no, I appreciate people liking it. This one's to talk about. Oh, we're gonna say.
Yeah, it says catching up on Iron Fist on Disney Plus. They dumped a bunch of shows during San Diego Comic-Con. So they put a lot of stuff on there.
Deadpool, Logan.
Yeah, which makes sense. We had a question earlier about, you know, what do you think about them adding those rated R movies, like the 2 Deadpool movies and the Logan?
Fine with me. I mean, just
it
like
doesn't bother
Netflix,
me, but
right?
being that it's Disney, right? I heard and I read an article too. No, I saw it on the news also that there was people upset about them putting those rated R movies on there because it was supposed to be a family friendly streaming service.
I think it just goes back to like the Netflix stuff, right? Like Netflix has Netflix Kids and has the regular Netflix. I think they could do the same thing. They could do Disney Kids, or they could put a lock on it, which I don't know if they do.
I think they have
put a parental lock.
Yeah, they have a parental guidance on there.
Who cares?
Yeah. So you look at, okay, so 98% of their stuff is family friendly, right? I mean, Disney owns the properties
so much.
Why not put those movies on there? People are going to watch them. They want that content. Deadpool 2, phenomenal movies. And Logan is a good movie. It gives people a chance to watch it in case they've never seen it before. And being that Logan, Wolverine, mutants, all that other stuff, you're going to want that content on there. I don't see what the big deal is at all.
Yeah, no. If you put a lock on it, then it's your parents, it's your job to see what your kids are watching. Tevia asks, you believe the Defenders will come back? I think the Defenders, the characters will come back. I don't think the team or show will come back. Yeah. I think we will see Jessica Jones. I do think we'll see Luke Cage. I don't think we'll see Iron Fist. But I do think we'll see those three, and they will come back in their own way. I don't think the show was not successful. So
I agree. I think we're past that part of it. I think Marvel and Disney or whatever it is, they're more focused on obviously what we saw, which was phase 5, phase 6, and they're going to be following that guideline. I don't think they're going to be sliding into the Defender side of things. I think there's enough pieces moving on right now.
I think Jessica Jones will come back only because they changed her name on the Disney Plus thing. So they actually changed the title. I forget what they did. What they call it. Let me look on Disney Plus. So they obviously are doing something with it. I'm signing in to Disney right now.
Is it called Alias?
Let me see. It is called, oh man, I can't even search Jessica Jones and find it. Is it not on there yet? Jessica Jones. It should be. Jessica Jones Disney Plus. Watch Jessica Jones. Let's see. I don't want to actually watch it. It's called, this title cannot be watched with current parental control settings. Isn't that so funny?
See?
So I have to change my settings. And that's obviously I didn't have those settings on. So you have to literally go into it and change it. But yeah, I don't know the title because I have to change my settings. But they did change it to something. Audience, if you guys know, let us know. There was an article about it a little while ago.
Did they
that's really interesting.
I wonder if they put Punisher on there because Tevia was asking about that too.
Let's see, Punisher. Yeah, if they put Punisher, that's gonna be interesting. They do. It's on Disney Plus, and yeah, it's the same thing. Parental control settings. You have to go into the settings and fix it.
Funny.
Which is great. That shows. Who cares? That it really shows. You'd have to make a choice to really watch these shows.
Right. Well, the contract from Netflix expired, so now that they have ownership to those properties, they're like, we're putting them over here, man, now.
Tavia says, I think it's Alias. I think it is too, but it's interesting because, why did they change it? Are they trying to do something with this?
Maybe they'll make other seasons. They'll continue her story, right?
Yeah. They said, I found it under Jessica Jones. They didn't change the name. I think they're in the process of changing the name, if I remember correctly, with whatever article I read a little while ago. All right, let's get into the next thing, which is the Black Panther trailer, which I like to love. I love No Woman, No Cry as a song. It's a great song. I thought the vibe was great for it. Really enjoyed it, but it was a vibe. We don't have a lot of information about the movie with this trailer, which I kind of like. I like going into movies not knowing much, so I like the trailer because of that. But you really know nothing about this movie.
No, I mean, you saw a little bit of Reilly. Right?
Yeah.
If you paid attention, he was carving out the suit because she put a heart in it. So
actually, Riri was in it. I thought you were saying Shuri. I did not know she was in it.
Riri, she was making I think she was making Ironheart suit, and if you paid attention closely to it, I think she was making like a heart shape in it.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know she was in it.
And what was it? And then you got to see the new Black Panther, but you only saw the backside, right?
Yeah, so we don't know who Black Panther is still.
You got to see Namor.
Yeah, I was not as entertained by that. But again, that was a big moment for I thought they showed just enough. I think this is how Marvel should do their trailers. I think they need to go the Disney route, which is weird because they are Disney. But usually if you go see a Disney anime movie like Frozen or Encanto, they never show the plot of the movie. They're just like, here's a little vibe of what the movie's about. I wish Marvel would do that more often and not tell me what the whole movie's about.
I'm very, very curious what they'll do. Oh, that's cool. They actually have a Defender Saga section under Marvel. Plus, that's cool.
Very cool. Thank you, Captain Khan.
So I'm excited. I'm excited for that movie. And being that we don't know exactly who the new Black Panther is going to be and
keep it a secret
and how the story is unraveled, like it'll be interesting how that script was changed, because obviously they had an idea and then they didn't know how Chadwick Boseman. I think if I read it correctly, the guy that was writing the movie or directed the movie, he didn't even know he was sick.
And I don't think anyone did. Yeah.
And then what happened is they had to change everything around. So that's been a big challenge for them, I'm sure.
But it looks great. And I just love the vibe. I love everyone's feelings. I think this is going to be a great movie. I love Black Panther 1. I think it's one of the best Marvel movies. And it just meant a lot to a lot of people. And I hope that this one continues to do that.
Yeah.
All right. I know we've been beating around the bush, but we got to talk about Marvel Phase 6. So Phase 5, not 6. I don't know why I wrote that down. Let's see. IGN took it off. It's not there anymore, the article. I got to search another article to find it. All right. Marvel Phase 5. Just so I just need the image.
Well, there was 5 and 6. 6 is those 3 big movies.
Oh, the Avengers movie. So I guess I wrote 6 for a reason. Okay, so here is a Times article about what's coming up. So we obviously have Black Panther. That's part of number 4. The Avengers movies. We could talk about that. I mean, I thought there was no more Avengers. I thought we were done. And then they're like, no. There's Kang now. There's this and that. I mean, I'm excited that everything has to do with multiverses now. I'm interested to see where that's going to go.
Yeah. First you get that Fantastic Four movie. Then you're going to get the Avengers Kang Saga movie. And then it's going to lead into Secret Wars. And
that's huge. Yeah.
I am so curious what they're going to do with Secret Wars. Like if it's going to be Hickman's Secret Wars, where it's just going to have all these incursions and everything blows up and there's going to be this battle world. Like that would be messed up. Like if you had a faction of like Thor's and if you had just like Dr. Doom in control of everything. I mean, remember that whole storyline? Like, I mean, that thing was ginormous, man. And the Kang thing, I mean, that it looks like Kang's going to be the big bad, And
he's an Ant-Man. So there's, that's going to, I hope be a big movie because usually Ant-Man's the filler movie. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen there. Fantastic Four, I'm also really curious about because Chris Evans, like an interview not way back, it was like a couple months ago. He said, I don't want to return as Captain America, but if I ever got to return as Human Torch, that's how I would like return to Marvel. I would be, and everything has to do with multiverses. I'd really be excited to see what Chris Evans would do with his Human Torch again. I don't think he would be the Human Torch, like the official one, but I think the multiverse version, like what Spider-Man did, it could be really cool.
Very, very possible. Yes, in Doctor Strange, they did mention the incursions. So it's almost led to believe that you definitely think that they could come back. I think this is definitely going to be based off of the 2015 storyline for sure.
Yeah, because the original I think is not as adaptable.
Right, exactly.
Thunderbolts is also a movie which cool. I don't really care about Thunderbolts. I hope it's just the name.
You will. Shut your mouth.
We'll see.
Yeah.
The other one was
That ends Phase 5, the Thunderbolts. That's going to be a big movie, guy. If that's
I mean, I'm gonna go see it.
Phase, yeah, that's going to be huge.
We also have Blade. I don't remember. No, that was announced. I'm trying to see which ones were like Guardians. We knew was ending. I think those are all the ones that were announced. There were because again, D23 is happening in like a month, so they only gave not little news because it was obviously they had a turnout, but it wasn't Jane Foster holding.
They gave the whole timeline with the movies and the shows that were coming
attached.
out. So the Ant-Man and Quantumania, what is that? That one kicks off Phase 5, I think it was.
Which I'm not surprised by with the whole Kang stuff.
So, and I think Black Panther's the next movie, right?
Yeah. So Black Panther is coming out really soon.
Yeah, and I think that ends Phase 4, if I remember right. So that ends Phase 4, and then everything else is all in between there. So you're going to get Loki. The next Loki show is getting ready to come out. You got She-Hulk, obviously, that is getting ready to come out.
Echo,
yeah, that's it. The Daredevil. Huh? Yeah, the Marvels. Yeah, the Miss Marvel movie. Yep. So you got that. So yeah, I mean, there's some good stuff there, and I think it's going to be building to get to that point in Secret War. So I think the movies and stuff are gonna get better and better. I think originally, like, people are kind of been turned off of Marvel. They're like, oh, where they're going and whatnot. But this is kind of that transitional period, and now we're gonna start seeing things build up back again. But I hope, man. I am.
Did you watch Thor?
Yeah, I did see Thor.
Hated Thor. Hated it. I thought it was
really.
I hated it. I have not seen a movie I hated as much as I did Thor.
You didn't see Eternals?
No, I haven't watched Eternals, so that's why I could say that about Thor. But I did not like Doctor Strange. I did not like it. I was really bored with that. I was like, oh, that was pretty bad. Then I saw Thor. I was like, that was worse.
So I do not think Thor was the best movie in the world, but I didn't think it was bad. I get what they were going for.
I thought Jane was so bad in it. Like Jane,
really?
Like, because again, I love Jane I love Natalie Portman. I thought she did a good job. But Jane's arc, where you thought like she was going to be a bigger player, she's not a big player. Her whole arc revolves around Thor. Like, she hardly like, it's not about her. Like, in the comics, they did such a beautiful job, like, distance her from him. He's like, oh, she's just a love interest and that's it. And she kind of gets the abilities of the hammer because she loved Thor. And I just thought it was a messy movie that did nothing. And I just did not like it. I just
I thought it was a very like point A to point B type of movie.
Boring.
I didn't find it boring. I thought it was fine. I liked the humor, but the thing is there was the problem with it was there was nothing at stake, right? There really wasn't. It was very predictable. I thought Gore the God Butcher was actually a cool character, but he was wasted, right? I just thought he was just a character that was kind of there, and they didn't show enough of him. Like, I definitely wanted him to be there more, and he didn't do anything, and being that he had the Necro sword and they didn't do anything with that, and they probably couldn't because of the whole symbiote thing and Sony and whatnot, that was kind of wasted at the same time. But I do like how, he gets his daughter. I do like how they introduced, what was it? Oh my God. What's the thing that he made the wish for? You know how Gore had to go and make the wish to bring his daughter back to life? What's the name of that character?
Huck.
Oh my God, I totally slipped in my mind.
Oh, God.
Eternity. That's what it is. Thank you, Tevia.
It's
Eternity. Go. Yeah. I thought having Eternity that was in there, I thought that was pretty cool. And then, you know what I thought? Like, it looked like it was when he wished for her to come back and you saw the reflection of her. I thought that was Singularity from A-Force.
That would be cool.
Because it's like you get to see the human form of her, right? But then on the bottom of the reflection of the water, it looked just like Singularity from that comic book. And I was like, oh, that's actually pretty cool, you know? But I don't know. I liked it. Some people are like, you either love it or you hate it. I'm a person that
you're in the middle.
In between. I'm in the middle of it, you know? Definitely wasn't a perfect movie. I thought that you should have death in it, right? That really means something, but it shouldn't have been so predictable. Like, you knew right from the start what was going to happen in this movie. The only thing I didn't know was that Thor was going to have basically a daughter at the end of this movie.
Who was his daughter? It's Chris
Which is actually his daughter in real life.
Yeah.
So
we actually have a cool comment here. Parker Luck. Hey Mike, I want to let you know that I've mentioned this show in your own channel and upcoming blog posts on my blog site. My review you're going to be in will be an overview of Silvercoin. Very cool.
Oh, sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah,
thank Parker, you for I appreciate that.
The mention. We did have a question about why we thought the MCU wasn't as good this phase. I think it was what you were saying before. It's kind of a holding pattern. They're introducing a lot of characters and they're like building their next Avengers, you know?
I think if I listened to it or read articles about it also, is that this is like the aftermath of basically Endgame, right? It's just like how everyone is recovering and dealing with everything. There's a transitional period, a holding pattern, a quiet time after a big thing happens, right? Because I think what happens in these movies is that a lot of us have gotten spoiled over the years. We have come to a point where it's like it's built up and every movie keeps on getting better and better and better and better. We've hit this pinnacle and we expect every single movie to be an Infinity War or an Endgame. And it just can't be that way the entire time.
I agree, but I want more movies like Shang-Chi. Like Shang-Chi was not, an Avengers, but it was just such a good character piece that it's just like, this was just a fun movie.
So I agree with you. I liked Shang-Chi, but there is a ton of people that hated that movie as well. They're like, what's the point? There's no reason to have him there. You know what I'm saying? And again, I think it's just, again, one of those Marvel movies that just introduced the character. So he's out there in the MCU and they can make another movie down the line. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I liked it. I look at every movie differently. There's goods and bads, right? Like, a lot of people didn't like Black Widow. It was created too late, and maybe it was, you know what I'm saying? But I thought it was okay.
It was boring.
I thought it was okay. It wasn't the best movie either, right? But again, everything can't be Endgame or Infinity War. And I think as time goes along and they laid out the roadmap now for 5 and 6, I think things are going to slowly, you're going to see things start to build back up. I mean, I think you've slowly been seeing that on Disney Plus. On top of that, by you getting the Thunderbolts, I think from those Disney Plus shows, they've been slowly recruiting those characters. And eventually you're going to get some of those characters in there. In
Defenders all over again.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah, in a way. Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's all the media news. We have so much comic news to get to. So let's start with that. I am going to take out the ones that just Brant wanted to cover, but I don't think there was a ton. Let me just take those out. Okay. So let's go with Moon Girl. She is getting her own book. She's been doing these these team up books, so now she's getting her own ongoing. So you wanted to talk about that. There is a TV show for Moon Girl coming up as well.
The only thing I wanted to say that is I have no interest in Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur.
Me either.
I don't see really a point to that character whatsoever. Like, there's no reason for it. So that's why I checked it off, because I was like, I am not interested at all.
Yeah. This is a heavy question. Any opinion on DC Comics announces Death of Superman again? They did do a teaser, and of course, I'm actually glad they're saving it for tomorrow, because I'm like, oh, it's something to talk about next week, because we have so much to talk about this week. But yeah, I think one thing I noticed at San Diego was this conversation of, this has been a conversation for a long time of like traditional publishing getting too comfortable and doing the same thing over and over again. And I'm starting to get that with a lot of the Marvel and DC books. And this is a great example of that. They're just doing the same thing over and over again and not giving us anything new. I didn't even hear about
that, to tell you the truth.
There was just a teaser that was very obviously the death of Superman. They're like, look, tomorrow we're going to have an announcement. And look, we're seeing it in Dark Crisis. Same bullshit, you know.
Well, he freaking died in Dark Crisis too. Right?
Yeah, exactly. He just died. It's just like, please give me more Donny Cates Venom. Give me more Immortal Hulks. Give me more Matt Fraction Hawkeyes. I keep mentioning only Marvel books. But give me more Robins from Joshua Williamson. Give me even more beginnings of Nightwings from Tom Taylor. I want real takes on characters that, yeah, the heart of it is what we've seen before with these characters and actually are these characters, but give me something new, please.
They don't know what to do. That's why they don't have half the line. They don't have any of these characters.
But I think Marvel's at fault at it too, though. And we'll talk about it.
I'm not saying Marvel is perfect. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying Marvel is perfect, but they have a ton of books to choose from.
They do. They have a lot more that way. You could, like a She-Hulk. A She-Hulk would not exist at DC because they don't have enough books.
They have we can Captain have a She-Hulk at Marvel, right? They have Captain Marvel. They got Miss Marvel. They got, they have series for. They've been coming out with more of the old school series in case you don't like the new stuff. Like they got Venom, Lethal Protector. They got the Maestro series. They have all those different types of books in case that you don't like those either. So they try to put out something for everybody. Now, whether it's successful is a completely different story, right? They got their Star Wars line. They got their X-Men. They have something there. They have their characters.
We've been in a really bad spot with it. I feel like as of recently, since COVID, we've been in a really, before we had at least a Immortal Hulk, we had some Venoms and stuff like that. Now I feel like, whoa, I'm feeling the superhero fatigue. And it's not because I dislike superhero comics. So I love superhero comics. It's just like everything, especially when I was reading my books this week. I'm like, this is the same. Okay, I've seen this before. And I'm just like, and then I read a couple of indies. I'm like, yeah, this is some good stuff here.
Indies are just completely different stories. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, I talked about the She-Bite story. Like I've seen a vampire story before, right? But it's the character that made it interesting.
But it's the freedom. It's not even just the characters. It's the freedom that these creators can do whatever they want. I feel like there's such shackles right now
with the editorial.
Yeah. And you see that with Spider-Man. You're seeing that with a lot of different characters where it's just like
X-Men. X-Men is the biggest disappointment. I mean, I know we were talking about it earlier, about that X-Men back in the day, how it's held to this higher standard and it's never met that standard since that time period. And it just seems like it's getting worse and worse and worse, and they don't even know what to do with it anymore. And when we talk about Axe Judgment Day, we'll talk about that later. But I mean, it is frustrating. Listen, ideas have been done multiple times, rinse, repeat.
But
right?
There's a twist. There's every creator can have their own voice on a character, even though Nightwing's again a great example of that. It's not like we haven't seen that story before, but there's just, you can hear Taylor's voice. It sings a different song because I'm gonna honestly use Robin as a better example because Robin
is a much better example. Yeah,
Robin is, look, we've seen this story before. Damien has always gone to being a little bitch to whatever, to a better person. Like that arc has always happened with Damien. That's his heart. But we're seeing something new. We're seeing, it's just like you could hear Williamson's voice in it. And I think I just want more of that. And I just, it's been a struggle. And I hope we get to see some more unique comics.
See, I think Nightwing has its problems.
Sure.
I think Tom Taylor truly only has a limited story to tell, and he's dragging it out so far. Like it's so decompressed of a story. It's absolutely ridiculous. He knows how to write character moments, and that's what brings the comic book up, but when it comes to his story, it's like, how long are we going to stay on the same story arc? Right. I mean, and that's what's going on with Nightwing, in my opinion, anyway. But I love what he does with the characters and how they interact with each other. And, but we're still on the same villain we know nothing about after how many issues since he started it. Right. and that's my issue with Nightwing.
And another thing I've been seeing too, but I think a lot of people are like, that's why comics were better at this date. And we are seeing comics are coming out that's like, oh, let's do the X-Men 90s again. And I think that's a problem too. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have those comics, but just saying comics were better back then. It's like, why can't we just do comics now? Why can't we just tell an original story? And I think, I do look at the axes. I'm looking at the death of Supermans. And I know you need a name and a franchise, but I just want an interesting story that does not have to do with the death of a character.
I honestly don't think they have the people to write these stories, or maybe not to write stories, but to come up with something different.
They don't want to. I don't think they have the risk. I think the creators have pitches. I truly do. I think the creators like, can I do this? And then they're like, no. Can you just do this instead?
So then it's editorial that doesn't have the balls to go out there.
Yes.
And let this fly,
Yeah, that's what I think it is. And again, I'm not there. I can't say it, but I just want better. And I know people in the comments like, there's always been shackles with DC and Marvel. There always has been, but I think there has been more consistent storytelling than I have seen since COVID. I really feel like I've enjoyed less superhero books than I've ever have. And this is not because I'm fatigued in superheroes. I love superheroes. We've all been reading superhero comics consistently every Wednesday for over a decade. It really does just have to do with the new vibe. Because I enjoy a Civil War book. That's fine. Just give me something like what was that Venom book called? The one that, the event. Oh God. The last Donny Cates event. King in Black is a great example of something I've seen before, but it felt a little different. It felt a little like, ooh, characters are actually interacting and saying something to each other. That's awesome. And I want more books like that just have to do with characters. Because again, it goes back to like spec buying too. The reason why we're getting Death of Heroes or 20,000 new characters, because like, oh, we want to make money off these books. Like, but you can make money off these books if they're just good too. Immortal Hulk was the reason that's a popular book is because it's just good, Anyways, rant over. Because I actually want to go into Radiant Black, which had some good news. They're having more Supermassive. They're getting more series. Radiant Black is a great example of doing superhero comics right. Because again, it's just Kyle Higgins running the whole show, and you could just tell like this is, and it's not because it's a new character. It's just because it's doing unique things within its storytelling and still staying true to superheroes.
Yeah.
And they have a Radiant Pink story coming out. I loved her one shot. I'm really excited from what they said about her.
And I'm hoping it's good, because it's Radiant Red was also good, and look at it. That's a weak story. I don't.
This is the same creative team though that wrote I don't know. I think Radiant Red might have been the same creative team too, but this is the same person that wrote that one shot. And just hearing what they have coming up, she's gonna like go into a new dimension, and she's it sounds like a lot of fun. And the art.
I mean, listen, really I love Radiant Black. I think it's good. It does everything right. Does it have a familiar vibe? Yeah, absolutely. But it's enough that it's different, and you find the character interesting, because there's this whole other dimension that we don't even know about yet. Like, we haven't even explored that. So I can't wait for it,
We have two comments I want to mention, but Willie says, I really enjoy comics that are different, like Jurassic League and Dark Knight of Steel. Dark Knight of Steel is one of the best books from superhero comics, because it's a superhero book that is doing something different and always surprises us. And it's like the Injustice Gods Among Us of comics, which is because it's pretty much the same writer. It is the same writer. Another comment, obviously Tevye mentions this all the time, but Mary Jane and Peter should be married. But I have a point to that. I think the reason they're not married is because they could keep trolling us and keep making money, right? If we keep thinking they're going to get back together, they're going to consistently buy it. They're back together. They can't pull that trick anymore. They can't be like, oh, don't worry, they're going to be back together. You need to read this issue. I think it's sales. They're just doing it for that reason. It's not even that they can't tell a story with them. I legit think they just need the trolling.
Yeah, I guess so. We'll talk about Spider-Man later in general.
We will talk about Spider-Man, and of course we'll talk about Spider-Man next week too, which is issue 900. Okay, let's go. Are you guys picking up Inferno a Girl Red? I back to Kickstarter. Sorry, have the book pre-ordered. Are you gonna get? It's a graphic novel. It's gonna be related to Radiant Black. You don't usually get graphic novels though.
I don't usually buy the graphic novels because I buy so much other stuff.
No.
And so to spend how much is it? Like $10 though?
I think it's gonna be more like 20.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I'll probably pass then.
Yeah. So you pop this one up.
I picked up my X Lives and X Death Deluxe trade cover, hardcover yesterday. Cover price is $75. You will have to tell me how you enjoy that story if you've never read it before. Had interesting concept in the beginning, and then I felt towards the end it got a little bit out there. But I don't know. Make a judgment for yourself, unless you already read it and you bought the hardcover for it.
Is it bad that I don't remember if I read it or not?
That's
I don't remember.
With Moira McTaggart.
Oh, the House of X stuff.
Yeah. Like she went on the run. She escaped Krakoa.
Oh, I have read that. I thought it was just. Is it called X Lives and X Deaths?
Yeah, 10 deaths, 10 deaths and 10 lives of Wolverine.
I thought it was House of X and Powers of X.
No, that's House of 10, Powers of 10. House of X.
Oh, then maybe I didn't read this one. This is a different one.
This ended the whole. This was towards the end of all that.
I mean, it did. I don't remember. I really don't. That's how X-Men is at this point. They all are the same to me. Speaking of Marvel, Chris Cantwell is leaving Iron Man. We loved his run in the beginning. Yeah. And now I'm interested to see a new run.
So the run is ending then, I'm assuming.
Yeah, the run is ending. There was no announcement of if there was even going to be another Iron Man, which of course there will be, but we don't have an announcement.
I can't wait because I liked it in the beginning, but then the whole story was just Korvac. So, and that's, again, I don't like when a writer is putting their whole run in one story, because if you don't like that main villain or whatnot, then you're going to hate the story. The whole thing had to do with Korvac. You know what I'm saying? And it just was it was so boring. So my gosh, that's why I went with Nick Spencer's run with Spider-Man. And once we got to the point where it was just Kindred and focused on Kindred the entire time, it just got so old and boring,
I definitely agree on that.
I think we just need traditional story arcs. 4, 5, 6 issues, most of a story arc, and then move on.
Yeah, I agree. Stop with these sagas. Unless you're Saga, don't tell. And Saga tells things in arcs, and their title is called Saga. So take a book in from their playbook. More TMNT Last Ronin. So that's announced as well. Who's surprised by that? That's
good though. And we said Brant and I said that when we saw that page, we're like, oh yeah, this will be great if they expand on that universe. This was a huge seller. If IDW is going to make some money, why not put more TMNT Last Ronin out there?
People are enjoying it. I actually met Kevin Eastman walking the halls. I have a friend that works with him, and
that's so cool.
We got to talk, so that was pretty cool. That's how small the convention was. Not small, but that's how fun it was. All right, next is Avengers and Avengers Forever collide in one story. I have not been following Avengers except that one good Jane Foster story, so this does not affect me in any way.
I'm not reading it, but after that, Jason Aaron's leaving it. He's
right.
Done. Yeah.
So who's taking over Avengers? That's definitely going to be a question. What's so funny about, and it's again where you're talking about how there's no creators left. It's so true because it shows that all these big runs are ending. You're like, wait, where's Jason Aaron going then? And it's like, oh, wait, who's going to take over Avengers? Who's left to take over Avengers?
Yeah, who can write Avengers? I mean,
Donny Cates, I guess, but he's on Hulk and Thor.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense, though, that he would take it over because he is writing those two characters.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be very easy.
If he's reading that,
huh?
I would do it. If he's writing that, I'm on Avengers.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just trying to think of who else is out there that can actually write the characters,
That's on Marvel right now, unless they announce somebody new. Maybe they get someone from I don't think they will, but they get a Kyle Higgins, let's say, who's not really working at Marvel right now, but is doing really good at Radiant Black. That could be an interesting move. Yeah. They get someone that's big in indie and doing something for Marvel.
And Dan Slott's leaving Fantastic Four too.
He is, which let's talk about it. So he's leaving Fantastic Four, which we knew, but there's a new creative team, and there is a teaser that supposedly tells us who the writer is. So it's a compass that the writer is N and then the artist is S. I don't know what that means. No, not at all. I was this is what Newsarama thinks. So above N for North is the word writer, and below S for South is the word artist. There seemingly are only clues for who's working on the title. Fans were quick to comment. Writer Al Ewing was mentioned multiple times, and at least one person questioned Nick Spencer. Nick Spencer would actually be. That would be interesting.
Huh?
What was the last thing he wrote? I don't even remember. But he went to the Substack stuff, so I thought he left.
Nick Spencer was Spider-Man.
Yeah, but he left after that. He's not doing it.
I know, but that was the last thing he did at Marvel, though.
Yeah. But Hickman's back. We should actually mention that. He's doing some space story, but supposedly because he already planned it. It's mostly like, oh, I wrote this a while ago. Let me write this and just finish it.
What can it be, though? Silver Surfer?
Maybe. But at this point, I'm like,
I could see Hickman doing a Silver Surfer story.
Sure, yeah. And I'm not going to pick it up, but I'm happy for people that love Hickman's stuff.
I can honestly see, being that you saw that image, right? That image is space. Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously, it's got this fancy font on there, right? But it's cosmic, and that's kind of right up his alley. Besides Al Ewing does everything in space. Al Ewing could actually do Avengers. I could see maybe doing that. He did do Guardians, but it wasn't very good.
And then he's doing Defenders right now.
Oh yeah, that book sucks.
Yeah, so I liked Al Ewing a lot on Immortal Hulk, but there hasn't been anything else that's been like, oh. But maybe again, I always will read the first issue and see where it goes.
Who wrote Avengers when Immortal Hulk came around? What was it called?
Wow. I think it was it was that like weekly series, but I think there was a few writers. Maybe it was like a Jim Zub. I feel like it was someone like that.
Yeah, somebody like that I think could maybe do something like that. That was actually really well-written story. That was a great Avenger story.
I remember you liked it. I think I dropped off.
I loved it. It was so good. Because it had the what was it, like the Game Master or whatever the heck he is.
The arcade?
No, it wasn't arcade. He was the one who put them in a battle against each other and whatnot. Oh my God, it's so long ago already. It's just unreal. But it was more than a couple of years. I really remember. I don't know if Al Ewing wrote that or not.
I don't think he did. I think it was like a Jim Zub, and then Al Ewing obviously ended up writing Immortal. Maybe he did. I really do think it was a couple of writers who wrote that.
Right.
Because it was weekly. It had to be a couple of writers.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, moving on to, this is actually news from like 2 weeks ago when we weren't on, but there's a new X-Men lineup. And they announced it with Hellfire Gala, which I didn't hate. I actually enjoyed Hellfire Gala.
I didn't read it because I didn't get a chance to read it. So who's exactly? I know Starfire, Iceman, right?
Firestar, yeah.
Firestar.
Trying to find the list here. Okay, so it's so it's Siren, Armor, Penance, Bling, Firestar, Havoc, Forge, Magic, Iceman. I'm sorry. The one it's Firestar, Iceman, Havoc, Forge, and Magic. So, and then obviously Jean and Cyclops. What I was most interested in with this, and only the Hellfire Gala actually, like they showed like how Firestar joined, and what I liked is that she didn't want to join. She didn't even like care about the X-Men. I think that's fascinating. Someone who's
Firestar
like
didn't care.
Yeah, she's like, I don't want to be part of Krakoa. Like, I don't want to be part of this team. And I was like, that's a cool concept because everyone's so fat, like drinking the Kool-Aid. And I was like, that's cool that she's not. And she's always been a character that is so unrelated to the X-Men, even though she's a mutant. And I'm fascinated by that. Yeah, I'm fascinated by that point of view. She's similar to Dazzler in that way, where they're like, fuck the X-Men.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read X-Men. That interested me.
Okay, so X-Men is the only book I will read because this way I can kind of stay current with what's going on in the X-Men world. Now, whether it's a good book or not, it's almost, for me, it's almost like Spider-Man or Batman. It's a book that I always must read just to be current on it. All the other X books, though, not reading, so
right.
That's how disappointed I am with it. And when we talk about the Axe Judgment Day, this is what gets me even more upset of what's going on in the X-Men today.
We will definitely talk about Axe in a little bit. This is just news on like Kickstarter side of things. So I'll go quickly, but Dynamite Comics is actually partnering with Immortal Studios, which is like a bigger imprint from Kickstarter. So I just think it's cool that a lot of Kickstarter books are like going the traditional route and able to like do different things. We're living in a market, and I'll continue to say this, where traditional comics is not the only way to read comics. But it's cool to see when the Kickstarter or a webtoon like goes to traditional comics. So I think we should get them in traditional comics.
Right.
But I just hope that, the industry is more open to things like that. And it looks like they are with news like that.
Tevia says Zeb Wells' Spider-Man is so bad.
Look, we'll get there. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
We'll get there. Gotham City Year One with Tom King. I did go to this panel because I was covering the Tom Taylor panel. And then, normally if this was just announced, I wouldn't be interested. But Tom King's a good seller. I was like, man, this kind of sounds interesting. Where he's like, well, what's the origins of Gotham City? Like, how did it become so bad?
I don't care.
I was like, that's a different angle, man. I'm probably not going to pick it up.
Let's drag it out for 25 issues. Like we had to come out with a Batman and Catwoman series because he couldn't finish it in the goddamn main Batman title and talk about it. Now he's going to talk about Gotham City on how the walls were created 25,000 years ago and it's got like a scrape on here or something dumb like that. And that's Tom King. I just can't with him anymore. Everything is so depressing and sad, and that's what's going to be about Gotham too. It is. I'm telling you.
It will be depressing and sad. I will say I probably will not pick this up, but in the room, it kind of sold me on it. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Okay.
That's his job.
But again, I will say it is his job. Some writers are not as good at pitching, but he was pretty good at it. I will say that even though I don't think Tom King's going to be the writer to do it, but I do like there's just a different angle on something that we've seen before. I appreciate that. Namor is getting a solo series, not picking that up, staying away, but he is getting it. Yeah.
I'm not a Namor fan. I never have. Like, there's nothing interesting for me. It's not, I guess it's just Aqua people. I never was a fan of Aquaman. I was never a fan of Namor. And to tell you the truth, I think I hated Namor worse than Aquaman because I always hated the stupid wings on his feet. I was like, how can those wings make that guy fly? And he's in the fucking water, dude. Like, why does he have wings? It doesn't make any sense to me. I always hated him. Hey, it's Bueller. What's up, Bueller?
Yeah, welcome. I wanted to welcome him onto the show. Thank you for watching. I don't like Namor, but mostly because his attitude. I don't like his ego. At least Aquaman doesn't have an ego. This one's cool. So TMNT Power Rangers is coming back with Ryan Parrott. Love Ryan. And Dan Moore is doing the art. I'm like, sold. It was such a good series. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you there. Dan Moore on artwork in any book that he's doing right now is so good. Just like World's Finest, man. I look at that book, and that book is so amazing. I love it.
I was not sold on World's Finest for the first few issues, and I'm totally sold now.
I told you. I am so happy that you kind of stuck through it,
Yeah, I thought it got really good. Again, the first two, I'm like, oh, where's this going? And now it's just like this is what I'm saying when you do nostalgia. It's not a nostalgia book, but it's like, oh, it has this vibe of Silver Age, but it's doing something different. It's doing something different, guys. That's why World's Finest is good. New Power Rangers team. I'm the only one who's going to talk about this. The writer who's doing Dead Lucky is writing this, and she pitched me well when she was at the panel. I was like, oh, looks interesting, sounds interesting. And she actually like she was working for Power Rangers from more of a corporate standpoint, and now she's writing comics, and I thought that was cool. And she's queer, so that's cool too. So maybe we'll get some queer representation in Power Rangers. This is big. Dynamite's in the news a lot. Dynamite, it got the license for Gargoyles. That's crazy.
Big. Yeah, that's impressive. I mean, here's another property that's been around for eons, and being that they, got the IP for it to now make comic books for it, I think you're going to get a lot of old school readers, onto Dynamite just to buy that actual comic
and
book
into comics, which is important, and into comics in general. So maybe someone who's never read a comic will read this and be like, cool, I like comics. Let me go check out more stuff. So I think this is great.
And it's something a little bit different from what they have, because they have obviously a lot of, Red Sonja books and Vampirella books and, a lot of these, sexy type books. So by putting Gargoyles in there, it kind of gives you something maybe for a younger audience out there too. Maybe it's an all ages thing, or I could be wrong. They could make it violent. I don't know, but at least they're putting it out there.
It's Greg Weisman who's writing it. So it's the creator so he's going to be on it, which I'm not surprised by because I don't think he'd want to not write it.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
I've not loved his recent Young Justice stuff, so I'm very curious to see if I'll like his Gargoyle stuff. I liked Gargoyles a lot. I don't know if I'll pick up the book. I don't know if I liked it that much, but I thought it was a good show. But I think it's going to be more for like the hardcore fans, which is fine. And I hope they enjoy it. All right, moving on to more Dynamite news, and they going back to all ages. They're doing Darkwing Duck as well, so they're doing this, the Saturday morning cartoons for Disney. That's good, again, whatever brings people to comics.
Absolutely. You're trying to expand on that audience. I mean, I think Dynamite has gotten very popular recently, obviously with The Boys. The Boys is obviously a huge show on Amazon right now, and they're trying to, again, maybe expand on their audience and let people know that, okay, yeah, Dynamite, we're a pretty big publishing company now, and now we want to expand our audience more. I think it's a smart move.
And it's with a lot of these licensed companies not having licenses anymore, it's really cool to see them like kind of tapping into it and be like, cool, like we have now these licenses that we could do. We could be the new IDW in that way.
Right.
Kat, I want to see Darkwing Duck cosplay covers. I don't, but I'm sure someone out there does. All right, next up is Batman, Superman Batman Spawn crossover. Superman always happens. This one doesn't happen as much, which is such a good move. Spawn is on its game right now. I could see this being the bestseller of the year.
This is so smart from DC to get, Todd to work with his old partner, Jim Lee, to get these guys back together. They have not made, if I remember correctly, the last time Batman and Spawn crossed over was back in 1994. I think that's what I read in this article when they had that one shot then. And I think I actually have that book. I do have that book, actually. It's not worth anything, but I think this book is going to sell a ton of copies just because of the popularity of Spawn now and Jim Lee and who you're putting on this book, who you have doing this art. You have Greg Capullo doing the artwork as well. I mean, this is a match made up in heaven. I'm surprised it's actually only a one shot and that they did not do a mini series on this.
I just don't think Greg Capullo probably has the time to do it. I think is he doing something with Scott Snyder? I feel like he's doing a book with him. I don't know what book it is.
I'm not sure. But
I don't know.
Nevertheless, I am excited. I will buy this. If they have like 1,000 variant covers for this thing, I will probably buy every single one of them because I can only imagine the artwork on those covers. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous. And Jim Lee is going to do a cover art on that for sure.
Yeah. No, it's going to be really interesting.
And Todd did too. I'm sure they'll both do it.
Just from a business standpoint, I was like, whoa, that's a cool move. Again, someone who's not a Spawn fan, I'm not going to pick it up. But it's like cool that the fans are going to be able to get that. And yeah, I really love that move. This is stuff that comics are made out of. I don't need to talk about the GCPD book. Punchline's getting a series. Not surprised. She had that. She had the little backup story for a while, but I feel like I just don't care anymore. Like, I think the time for these characters are done. In my opinion, since James left, it's just like doesn't feel like anyone's been able to really do anything with them. And I think it's the same writer who was doing those backups. So it's not like it's going to change that much.
I mean, I think you need to do something with a character, not put her in a backup story. So we'll see how. But
maybe a mini, out. Not an ongoing.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Here's your answer. Capullo's doing We Have Demons. Remember?
There we go.
Yeah, that was not sure if there's more issues coming out for it though. At least right now, anyway.
Figure drawing active Punchline's Asian, I believe so.
Was she? No, right?
I think so. No, I think so.
I don't remember now.
I'm pretty sure. Okay. Next is Gotham Knights gets a prequel series. Again, goes back to great, people are playing these games. I want them to get in the comics. I think it's great to do that. And the game looks cool, so I might pick it up just because it's Batman. I'm saving that Green Goblin thing. Let's talk about the new Joker series. It's happening. We knew it was happening. I think we have a creative team now. It's Rosenberg. Matthew Rosenberg's doing it. He's been doing a lot of like Rosenberg. I think I said that. Anyways, he's doing it. I'll pick it up for the first issue, but I'm not impressed. No. Also, is it going to be about the Joker? Is it going to be about Jim again?
No, I'm not. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Not again. I said after the original series was done, I'm not doing this again. It's not happening. I don't need it.
Mike Manhattan's the game for the Gotham Knights. So I didn't know there was a show for Gotham Knights. Maybe there is. There's too much content out there. All right, moving on to new Claremont book, new X book. Goes back to we need to do nostalgia. Here it is. I'm good. I don't need it. But for people that like those nostalgic books, they can grab it. Because it's not anything new. I think it's like
so. What it was an X-Treme X-Men book.
Yeah.
So it was going back to the X-Treme X-Men timeline. Back from 2000.
And we've seen this type of stuff already. We've seen them go back to all these timelines. They're not doing anything new.
This is what I was talking about with Marvel. Like, they're trying to get an audience of people that don't like, I think, the current stuff.
Which is fine.
But they like the older stuff. And I get that. I think that's absolutely fine because I like both. You know what I'm saying? So I'll check out both things. But if I don't like X-Men right now and I liked X-Treme X-Men, I'm going to check that out, at least to check it out. If it's a good thing, if it's good, that's a different story, but at least I'll check it out.
I want to see Chris Claremont do new X-Men stories.
I don't think
that
he
would be
has
fun.
it in him to do. I don't think he has it in him to do a whole new story thing. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think he's current. I don't think he's reading the current X-Men, but if he was, I think like if he was current, like I'd be like, oh man, I want to see his take on like Krakoa.
I don't think he wants to. I don't think
he But he doesn't want to, exactly.
I wonder if he thinks in his head, wow, this is stupid. This is not what I created. I am. I'm very curious to, like, if I could pick his brain and and just be like, okay, this is not going out anywhere. And it was just me and him sitting down like at freaking McDonald's or Starbucks or something like that. And be like, Chris, you know what? Let me buy you my favorite drink, a dragon fruit refresher. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk about current X-Men. And I want to ask you, what do you think about the current X-Men right now? Did they totally debacle your creation? What do you think about the resurrection protocols? I would love to hear what he would have to say about that.
Yeah, and something like, this extreme, whatever it's called, I think it's X-Treme X-Men. It's a quick paycheck. I'm not saying it won't be good. It might be, but it's like, it's also like an easy project to do. So
sure. It just takes place in stuff that he already wrote. And who knows?
Lost episodes.
It could be scripts that he already had that never was published before.
That too. So, look, it has an audience. I agree. I don't love when companies rely on nostalgia, but people like nostalgia. And if it's only a few books, I think it's okay. And if it's not, affecting getting new content. All right, we're getting into Spider-Man stuff. So Craven's getting his own origin story. And I think I think this is gonna be in Dan Slott's. I don't remember. I think it might be.
This is a separate book.
Oh, this is JMS. This is J. Not JMS. J. DeMatteis, who did Craven Last Hunt. So I'm gonna pick it up because I was just talking about nostalgia, but this seems like a different story.
So
about Craven.
Exactly. So one of the most iconic stories ever when it comes to Spider-Man, right? And this has to deal with more of the psyche and the origin of like Craven the Hunter or whatnot.
Right.
And I'm very interested in that. I definitely want to read that story.
Yeah, no, I think, that was what I was saying about the Chris Claremont thing. This is the type I want to see where it's like, oh, it's doing something different with, something we do have nostalgia with because we never seen an origin story from him. It's like, oh, that's cool. That's new.
Right.
Okay. The big topic, even though it's not the main topic of our video, but you did talk about it on your channel already. Green Goblin becomes Gold Goblin. There's a part of me that's a Spider-Man fan that says, you know what? I want to see Norman as a hero. This might be interesting. Then there's the jaded side of me who says, I've seen him as a red goblin. I've seen him as a green goblin. I don't want to fucking see him as a gold goblin. Please come up with a new idea.
And Spider-Man is a spider goblin.
Yeah. Oh my
God.
I just
okay,
can't.
but just like, so we had the Queen Goblin. She was actually pretty cool, right?
She was cool.
I mean, so, and say what you want. I think Zeb Wells might have some good ideas. It seems cheesy, right? It does seem cheesy. I can picture what people are thinking of right now. How can you have Norman Osborn as a good guy? I never see that before. But you got to remember, back in Nick Spencer's run, all those sins were taken out of him. He doesn't have the evil spirits in him. And it's all in that Queen Goblin creature's body now, right? So he's actually is a good person at this point. Why Spider-Man's going to have a freaking goblin glider or a spider glider? Like, I don't get it. But I want to see that story. It definitely has me intrigued. And we talk about doing something different with the character. Again.
Exactly. The premise seems interesting.
Right. That's what we want.
I hope it follows through.
We complain when we don't see different. But now we're complaining when we're trying to do different.
See, the difference is not what annoys me. It is that he's a gold goblin, and just because he has a different color, that annoys me. Because we've seen this before.
He could be a hero. I know. Yeah.
Him being a hero is actually interesting to me. That's the selling point.
Right.
This another color. I just want to be a green goblin. You're just making him a gold goblin because of the specs. It's like it's a new character. I'm like, he could just be Green Goblin and just be a good guy.
But maybe he looks at himself as that former self. Like, that was me back then. That was a different chapter in my life. Now gold means
rich,
right? I don't know. Who knows? But we're also getting the return of the Hobgoblin. And because of the Hobgoblin, this all leads into Norman becoming this new character. And then we're also getting Chasm back as well. He's going to be entering the picture during this timeline too, because we're getting this dark web event. So that's the event that's going on, that's happening in all of this stuff. Yeah.
Look, I always look optimistically. I always gonna pick up that issue and be like, cool, I hope it's really, really good. And I do. I hope this is really, really good as a Spider-Man fan. I do think as promised, I do think there's like, oh, that looks interesting. So we'll see. That's actually all the news.
I just want to see some of these comments of what they see. There's one that says, have we seen a Black Goblin?
Yeah, that'll be next.
I don't open my books. I just keep them still wrapped in the plastic. Let's see. Zeb Wells made Ben Reilly Spider-Man into a villain, which I don't have a problem with that. Ben Reilly does not have anywhere to go. He's just there. He's like a mimic of Spider-Man. So why not make him into a villain? I actually think that's a good idea. Spider Goblin. Come on, man. Makes as much sense as Spider Buggy. My most respect goes out to Spider-Man fans. You guys have all the patience in the world.
We really do.
I struggle with Norman not being a villain. seen him do too many crazy evil things to Peter to believe he's teaming up with Peter after all. I agree. We've seen Gold Goblin before. We have?
Did we though? I don't remember that.
What happened to the Red Goblin chick? It was never a girl. It was always Norman.
No, right? I think she's talking about the one that was from last arc, the Queen Goblin.
Oh, the Queen Goblin. Yeah, she just took off. She took off. I don't even know what happened to her.
I would like to see her again. Yeah, because it was the same writer who.
Yeah, I think she's great. Yeah, Queen Goblin. There we go. Okay.
We have figure drawing. Oh yeah. What about Kane? I don't know, man.
Yeah, we got see a Pink Goblin next.
I'm ready.
What for the whole Power Ranger of Goblins. The Power Ranger Goblins? Yeah.
I would buy that because that's something different. I have not seen a team of Green Goblins. That actually would be interesting. Team of Green Goblins would be really cool. I'd buy that. Would be
funny. And then they all combine to make one huge freaking.
Maybe that's going too far, but I would like to see multiple goblins. We do have figure drawing acts. Chip Class is a video Chip Zdarsky made. It's pretty funny. I did see that. It's like a master class like spoof, and I thought that was pretty cool.
That's cool.
I don't know if he's actually
doing it. I did see it.
It was cool. It was good production too. I was like shocked. I was like, oh wow, he like hired people to do this.
All right, so now we're going into comics. We're not going to do our normal
not all of them, yeah.
Because we had so much news, but we just want to highlight a couple of big books this week. And
I do want to talk about some. I will say, do a Powerbomb and Rogue. Did you read Rogue Gallery or no?
I did.
I want to talk about that.
By the time I went to my shop, though, Do a Powerbomb was sold out, issue 2. So I wasn't able to read it. Oh, I'm so pissed off.
I'll talk about Do a Powerbomb. Okay, the ones I want to talk about is Do a Powerbomb, Rogues Gallery. I think we both agree we want to talk about She-Hulk, World's Finest, X. Hold on, give me a second. I think that's it. Unless you want to talk about the new Scott Snyder book, which I don't have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me talk about She Bites.
Yeah, She Bites, and then I'll do a Powerbomb, and then we'll go down.
So She Bites issue 1 is a book done by Scout Comics. I just put this on my FOC because it just seemed kind of cool, right? And very simplistic plot from the beginning about the Mega Goblin. That's hilarious.
I like that.
And then we got this little girl that comes walking into the shop, and she's trying to buy beer and cigarettes, and the guy's like, yeah, nice try. And she calls the guy an asshole or whatever. And then she goes into the alleyway, and then you find out that they're trying to steal all her money because she's got this big wad of money, and she freaking busts out the vampire teeth. So she's a vampire, right? And then later on in the comic, you see that she put a posting on the bulletin board saying babysitter needed. So she's a vampire trapped in a little girl's body. She's 134 years old, and she wants to hire a babysitter as a chaperone so she can do adult things. That's how the comic book starts off. And I thought it was hysterical. And it was so well written, and it makes you just want to know more about this 134-year-old little girl vampire. Really good. It really well done. And it's kind of funny. She took the muggers that tried to mug her, and she took them and hung them up, hung them up in the bathroom so she can feed on them for a little while. It was a pretty interesting book, man. I liked it.
It sounds fun. Again, I wanted to pick it up. I missed it. I thought it was coming out a little further down the line. But yeah, do a Powerbomb. I won't spoil it just in case. I hope you do get the issue because there's a good cliffhanger. It's just like, it's just so good. It's like, it's not a point A to point B like most issue 2s. It really continues the journey. Yeah, it's good. That's all I'll say because I don't want to spoil it for you. But the ending is really, really interesting.
Find a copy of it. Yeah, I'm so pissed.
Even if you read it digitally, honestly, I think it's worth the read because you're like, whoa, this is like, because again, issue 1, you had so many twists and turns. Like, what is this series? And then the series changes again at the end of this issue.
Oh,
like,
geez.
Damn, it's really, really cool. That was my pick of the week. Actually, Do a Powerbomb was my favorite book of the week.
That's cool. Willie asked, Oh, I talk about Rock and Robbie posted his reviews for tomorrow, a new comic book day already. Interested. That's crazy, man. How you put your reviews up so early? You read all
I think he works at a comic store.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no, where was it? No, I lost it.
Which one are you trying to find? Okay.
How'd she get stuck on a little girl body? So it doesn't say. So hopefully
she's a vampire, I guess.
Yeah, hopefully she's a vampire. So something happened to her when she was real young, and she's been alive all this time. So, but you don't know how it actually happened yet.
We also have a couple comments about Powerbomb. My jaw hit the floor at the end. It's a jaw dropper.
Oh, man. God.
It's a good cliffhanger. And then Tizzy asks if it's a wrestling comic. It is, but I don't think you need to like wrestling for it. I don't watch wrestling. I appreciate wrestling as a concept, but it's just a good book, you know?
Right. Right.
So was there, again, other than She-Hulk, Axe, Rogue Gallery, and World's Finest, was there anything else you were like, I have to talk about this week?
Let me see.
So those are the 4 I want to talk about.
Not really.
Hey, you want to do She-Hulk?
Yeah, let's do She-Hulk. I want to get your thoughts on She-Hulk right now.
It's slow, but again, I've read Rainbow's books before, and I'm used to this pacing, and I know that she's building up towards something. So don't worry. I know that you're from your seat. It's like, oh my God, is this going anywhere? It always goes somewhere. She is building towards something.
Like, I love the character work in there.
Oh my God, so good.
And I think she can write Jen really well. And I love how we finally got some kind of action in this book. But do you think that, like, are we done with Jack of Hearts now? Like, it seemed like he was
they're
gone.
They're building towards something. I think they're building towards something because we've had so many like little cliffhangers of like where he, like, there's copies of him and stuff like that. No, I think he's gonna be important. But I agree. What I really liked about this issue was just the little moments between them where Jen's is talking about like her being She-Hulk and why sometimes she's not She-Hulk. And I love those moments. And I think I miss character moments like that. And that's why, like, I know She-Hulk might not be for everybody because it is a little slower and is so character driven. But again, when it's big moments happen, your jaw will be on the floor. It just might take a couple issues to do so. And it's different than Tom Taylor's character work, where I feel like it's just the same character work, not building towards anything. This is building towards something.
Right. I mean, it seemed like we finally got introduced to 2 new characters, right? You got introduced to that, who is it, April character, and then that big dude.
Yeah, that was weird. That's like his wife.
Yeah, it was just like Jack of Hearts, the king of tarts, or killed the tarts, or I want my tarts, whatever it was. I'm like, who is this guy? So like, I like that. I need the comic to be more than talking, because it's Jennifer Walters. She's a Hulk and she needs to fight. And I like how at least in this issue, they started with some kind of battle. You know what I'm saying? Right. Because you're 5 issues in at this point, and nothing against Rainbow, but if you don't start doing something soon, people are going to drop off the book.
If you're looking for action, I can't promise that's going to happen. She doesn't do action as much.
I completely get where you're coming from, but there's people out there that are looking for that action. And if
I agree.
And if they don't get it, they're going to drop it. And then that's when the series gets in trouble, because people will only hold on to it until that show comes. And once that show is over, or you know what I'm saying? People are going to drop it completely.
I can promise plot. I can't promise action.
Right.
I can promise that. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. I'm liking it. It's not Runaways level for me, just because I like Runaways.
Yeah.
I love She-Hulk. I like She-Hulk is an 8 for me. Runaways is an 11. You know, like I really like She-Hulk a lot, but Runaways is like my favorite. So we'll see. I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time. I see your worries, and I think I
don't want it to get canceled. Like, I'm reading it. Yeah. I do enjoy it. My only issue is I just want more action with it, but I don't want it to get canceled. That's my biggest fear, because I waited so long for a She-Hulk book. And this is the closest thing that we've gotten to that character, right? Mm-hmm. Because I love her confidence. I love how classy she is. I love, how funny she is in this book, and you get those cool moments in there, but I'm afraid that it could go away,
Mike Manhattan X, what do you think of She-Hulk from Peter David? I don't remember him writing She-Hulk.
I don't either.
Yeah,
Dan Slott wrote her.
Yeah, Dan Slott's, that's really, really good. She-Hulk.
Yeah.
I'm gonna search it now. Oh, he did. Yeah, I haven't. Oh, is that the original?
No, not the original. He didn't do the original.
There's an omnibus of it, so it's something. It's 2005. Interesting. Okay. So maybe it was right before Dan. I don't know. If I probably read it and I don't remember it being him, but I remember Dan Slott's run a little bit more. I think it was before Dan Slott. Yeah, I read the 80s stuff, read the Dan Slott stuff, obviously read everything after that. But I don't know if I read the Peter David stuff. So that's She-Hulk. I like it. It's good.
Yeah.
The others we want to talk about are, you want to talk about World's Finest? We'll save Axe for last, I think.
Yeah, right, let's do World's Finest. So World's Finest is just really good. I mean, this was just a story about selfless superheroes. These are characters that they used all their abilities like to their finest, like Superman, super in character, willing to give up everything, for his friends. Supergirl, she was sitting there going, no, I'm the one that's got to save everybody because I already I lost Robin. Like, we don't even know where he's at. So I'm responsible. So let me do it. Batman's just like, no, I can survive in there. I'm the best tactical fighter. I can do this. I mean, I just love how all these heroes were doing hero-like things. They were very selfless. And it was just so good. It's just a good book, man.
Yeah, and like you said, it had good action. It had good character moments. Obviously, the art is so freaking good. But then there's some good endings, too. Like, who's going to sacrifice themselves? And then Supergirl having this angst about Robin being gone. And then you get to this Damian level. You're like, wait, this feels like such a different era. How are we getting to this Damian moment?
Yeah, I mean, it was in the future. So
yeah.
Is Robin now in Lazarus Island in that same tomb? Because that was in that epilogue there, right?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm very curious. I really think the next issue is going to be very different than the issue we saw now, and I'm curious how it's all going to connect.
Yeah, I mean, because he just got lost somewhere. So I don't know, man. I love that book. What was this comment here? I wanted Robot Man to get the W. ...
I don't know what the W is. ...
I mean, he wanted to go in there too, with him also. But yeah, overall, the book is so good. I love that feeling. Like, if every DC comic book was written that way, think about the type of universe you could have. Right?
Yeah, and if it was actually all connected, because doesn't seem too connected to the universe either. So
yeah, exactly. Like, I can have like a Green Lantern book like that, or a Green Arrow book like that, or just any other
Green Arrow getting a book. What?
Yeah, right. Just so many characters that don't have books right now that I can't even think of, or they just have little mini series. We just need to get away from Batman a little bit,
just a little, only a little.
Yeah.
So next we're going to talk about Rogues Gallery, which I liked.
Oh my God. That book was so good. I remember same thing, putting that on the FOC, and I'm like, this is an interesting concept. And at first, when I first saw it, I'm like, Rogues Gallery. I'm like, what is this? Another Flash book? And then I'm like, oh wait, this is from Image, right? So this was so awesome of these kids just analyzing their favorite show that they watch on TV, and how this actress has like totally ruined the source material, and how
they're the villains. Yeah, they're the villains of the story. They're just like, oh, let's kill her.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they go to the extreme, right? And then what happens when they get to the house at the end?
She's gonna like kill them back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this was so good. This was something completely different.
this felt like a slasher movie. I'm like, I'm in. I love slasher movies. I like horror. I love horror movies a lot. So I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm reading a horror movie. And it just felt so different. But also, it's, what Public Domain tried doing, it was successful here, where they're trying to do a commentary about like movies and comics or whatever. And this did it right for me. It was just the right amount of meta where it just completely worked. And I'm like, I can't wait for that next issue because that was such a good premiere.
Well, I just liked how it was kids, that it was so relatable. Like, I'm not a kid, and but it was just very relatable because we're so passionate about our shows and we're always talking about this stuff. And so we're right there with those people in that comic book, because we can analyze things so much and everything bothers us about certain things, right? And they just take it to a whole new level. And then you find out that she's like a murderer. I mean, it's so cool, man. It was really
she's like
good.
This final girl. Can't wait for issue 2. If you didn't pick up issue 1, go pick it up.
I could see this. That would be cool if that became some kind of show or movie, because that would be interesting.
I definitely hope so. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is X. And I got this just because I'm like, all right, let me like give the first issue a try. Like, I didn't want to get I always forget about the Venom book. We just talked about it. Oh my God.
King in Black.
Whatever. King in Black. I remember I didn't want to get it. I really like the story. Sometimes you gotta at least try the first issue. Not getting more. I'm done. I'm good.
Are you?
I did not like. I was bored. Like, this is everything I hate about Marvel events. I'm good.
So
I'm not following any of these franchises, so it does not matter to me.
I might continue. I'm gonna probably continue the main event, but here's my biggest problem with it. Okay. How long have I been saying now that we need to get rid of the Resurrection Protocol, right? This actually happened in the comic book. Like, they actually killed the 5 people in there to get rid of the Resurrection Protocol. And then what happens, right? They literally bring it back like 2 pages later because they had backup eggs for those people to hatch again, so they wouldn't lose the Resurrection Protocol. What the fuck, dude? Like, don't be afraid to get rid of something. Like, let them suffer. And then also, supposedly, Mars, which is, what was it? Not Krakoa, but the other planet. Whatever.
I know what you're talking about. The other X-Men Mars planet. Yeah.
Right? In Mars. And that place wound up getting destroyed. So they no longer have Mars, but you don't actually see that happen in the comic book itself. It's all off panel. You just see like little panels of people like destroyed or in skeletons or whatever it is. So what happens is you read all this jibber jabber in this comic book that just doesn't make sense. It's so boring. And all the big stuff that you should see that matters in the comic is all off panel. And then you also just tease someone with the Resurrection Protocol going away, but you can't even leave it alone for 2 issues or 3 issues. You got to literally bring it back in the very next page. And that's what pissed me off about this. And it's just like, come on, man. Don't be afraid. Like, make something matter. And that is my biggest problem. Nothing matters in the X-Men right now. And you had this big event. This huge event. You're supposed to make a splash on this first issue, and they just dropped the ball on it.
I'm so uninvested in X-Men that I didn't even have the passion to care. I was like, whatever. I'm just gonna read X-Men when this is over, because I'm. It's just when Hickman left, you just tell like, what do we do? What do we do with this? He's not writing it anymore.
A phenomenal plan. It was so good. So different. People were so invested in what he had. And then something happened. It just dropped off the rails because I don't know if they didn't want to pay him or maybe they were trying to control him and he didn't want it.
I think it was just that he had Substack and he,
I don't know. But it's a lost opportunity. Something like this, where you have the immortals that look at they look at the X-Men as deviants or whatever, you know what I'm saying? You would think that it would mean something, you know, and it just, man, oh man, it was just disappointing.
And BDG brings up a good point. Axe and Dark Crisis are both huge LOLs. 100%. They're both the commentary of like what we keep saying about events don't matter. Events used to be about connecting books together, showing like this is so big that we need the whole Marvel universe or the DC universe to come together. And Dark Crisis, nothing matters because nothing's connected. The only thing that matters is that one book. So it's like, oh, who cares? And then Axe is just like, oh man, they went off so off the handle with X-Men and all these other titles. I'm like, I don't care anymore. So both events.
See, with Dark Crisis, I'm looking at it as just like almost like this linear book right now. And it's kind of like, and based off of what I'm just reading, like as a book wise, I am entertained by it. Like I enjoyed it. I loved issue 2. I love the fight between Nightwing and Deathstroke. I really enjoyed that. And I just hope it continues to be solid. And I also liked how they brought Kyle Rayner back and how they brought the Green Lantern Corps back. And it felt like an interesting book where this didn't have anything for me. Like it was just more talking, and that's what the X-Men have been all about. And if you read the Eternals, right, their book, it's, you know, it's not for me. It's just personally, if you like it, that's great. But same thing. It's all dialogue heavy. I was never into it. So when you put talking X-Men together and talking Eternals together, you get one big boring ass comic book, and you leave all the action out of the comic book.
And there was not one thing that was interesting to me with Axe. And that's why I was like, oh, easy. Don't need to get issue 2 because there was not one hook. At least I would say something like Hellfire Gala. There's a few things that hooked me. And I was like, oh, that was kind of interesting. Not enough to buy more. But I'm like, oh, that was interesting. And I'll even go with Dark Crisis. I do think there's like, oh, cool. That fight was interesting. Maybe we'll get to see more. There's like little hooks. Again, not enough to love anything, but I guess enough for me to pick up issue 3. But Axe, there was not one thing I was interested in.
No, there really wasn't. And like I said, it got me mad. It got me upset.
Everyone's being judged. Don't worry. That's what it's about. Everyone's going to be judged.
Yeah. Crisis was interesting. It's entertaining, right? There, at least there was a fight. There was a battle. There was something that was going on that was entertaining. It was gorgeous artwork, you know, and it looks like it was building something. You kind of feel the desperation on what was left of the Justice League. You see Black Adam saying, okay, now I got to step up as the leader here. Like it, I don't know. It seems like a better story, at least from the get-go. I don't know. I don't see this.
I'm not interested in any, but
I don't see this Axe book. I don't think it's going to get better. If it doesn't hook me off of the first issue, which in a main event book, it really should. I don't know how it's going to go going forward. And I am not buying any of these tie-ins at all for this.
No, I'm good. What's so interesting about the event books, you're right. Usually with an issue 1, is like, that's always going to be like the best issue. And sometimes it goes downhill. It's like, no, that wasn't even good. So I'm like, wow, can't wait to see where this goes. I wonder if it's going to be, we're going to say.
I was saying, I always try to look at the positive in any type of comic book, even if I don't like it at all, right? But there was nothing here to like in that comic. There was nothing at all. It was just, I remember reading the beginning of it, and I'm like, oh my God, when is it going to go somewhere? And I didn't get a chance to read the Eve one again because I been so busy.
Yeah.
And but people were saying that it's boring. It's the same thing. It's just all blah, 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 blah. Kind of just like what the X-Men's always been. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to read that. If it's not going to get me hooked on the event that's coming up, I'm not going to read it. And I read this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, man, come on. But I am still going to read it. I'm going to read it through, and I'm going to see what it has and what is going to be the outcome after this, you know?
Let's see. This is a new commenter. The most interesting comic panel in San Diego is Supermassive panel by far, building a tight universe of continuity and all ties together. Yes, I actually said that earlier. I went to the panel and I was just like, just had such a good time. I was just like, man, I just love these creators, love their universe, and they know what they're doing, and it's just so fun. And I'm loving Radiant Black and everything that's coming out of it. And I thought it was a really good panel as well. It was an early panel. I wish there was even more people because I know there's big fans of the book, and I thought it was great.
Give them a lot of credit for what they're trying to do.
No.
So, and that's it. I mean, that's all we're going to talk about today when it comes to the comic book, since we had such a heavy news show. Hopefully, Brant, when you watch this back on the playback, you had a great nap.
He's like, wait, what time is it?
That poor man probably was so tired, he probably passed out and has never looked back.
He hadn't slept for the whole day, and he was talking to us like 6. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if Brant is gonna be coming on. We do have our most anticipated books for next week though, or tomorrow.
Yeah,
if we want to talk.
I think
about
a lot of us were actually pretty much the same on this. So let's talk about Brant. Brant's number 3 was Amazing Spider-Man issue 900. I'm not calling it issue 6, issue 900.
No, issue 900.
Yeah. His number 2 was Radiant Black, issue 16. And just letting you guys know, when you buy your Amazing Spider-Man 900, it's a $10 comic book. So just letting you know that.
I'm only getting one cover for that one. There wasn't too many interesting covers for that one for me personally.
And then his number 1 is Robin, issue 16, right?
That's not the last issue though?
There's one more. There's one more after that one. And then Kat, you have Detective Comics issue 1062.
I did. It's Rom V. I've been hearing so many great things. I've not had an opportunity, I feel like, to really read a Rom V book. So I was like, I want to really give this a shot. And I think it's Raphael Albuquerque doing the art, which is really great. I also want to answer this question before. Does San Diego Comic-Con cost a lot? How much would it be good amount to bankroll? The tickets don't cost too much. It's mostly it just has to do traveling because the hotels are really pricey and the flights and stuff like that. Yeah. If you live in the area, the tickets are pricier than your average, but I don't think it would really break the bank if you're just getting the tickets.
Just come up with a budget to spend.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, at the convention because you can spend so much money.
Exactly.
But yeah, number 2.
Ant-Man for you. Ant-Man issue 1.
Yeah, Alan Wing's writing this, and it's like what I liked is that they're celebrating Ant-Man's anniversary with an actual miniseries. They tend to do anthologies. I'm like, this is interesting. They're celebrating every Ant-Man. I think the last one's going to be a new Ant-Man. So I'm curious to see what this is going to bring. I just thought finally they're doing something different with anniversaries, and I love Scott, and I like Ant-Man. So
cool. And then you got Amazing Spider-Man issue 900.
I am anticipating it. There's a difference between anticipating and excited. I'm not excited because I am worried, but I am anticipating. It will be the number 1 book I read tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Hopefully it will be an overall good story and set the pathway on what's to come for the character a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. Because when we're getting that amazing fantasy story, that's the one where they're going to have a whole bunch of different stories, right?
Which I don't think I'm getting that.
Yeah, this one is going to be, I think, one huge story. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and I'm hoping all the stuff they've been building up to, they actually reveal, because they've been saying, oh, wait for 900, and I hope the wait was worth it.
Right. All right, and then mine, like you, was Detective Comics 1062. My number 2 is Robin issue 16. So that was my number 2. I'm so sad that series is ending, but I understand. He had his story to tell, and that's it. He's done. But I
applaud him.
Yeah, he did something in the short time that he was there and added depth to the character. So hopefully the next writer that writes him or puts him in other books keeps that mentality with him forever. And then, of course, I mean, you have to. It's the Amazing Spider-Man issue 900. I mean, whenever one of those comes out, it's always a big deal, right? So we'll just have to.
And a lot of times, big things happen too, because I think Spider-Man died in issue 700. We had Flash Thompson die in issue 800. All deaths, but they're usually pretty big. But they were both Dan Slott books, so that's also a big difference.
Yeah. don't forget, we might see the Mega Goblin coming.
Yeah, the Mega Goblin probably will show up in issue 900.
I mean, we are getting a combination. We are getting a combination in this. We're getting the Sinister Adaptoid, so that's kind of in that frame, right? So yeah. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, there's our most anticipated. So yeah, that's about it, right? So let's see if we got any comments before we head on out. No, Remuda Jr. is the main reason I care.
Man. Ooh, right. Well, not me, but
Incredible Hulk can jump 3 miles from point A to point B in a single leap. That's a statistical thing for you. Have you or are you guys to read Superman Space Age? I've heard very good things. I don't have interest in it personally.
Me either.
Yeah.
We're not hardcore Superman fans.
Yeah,
we like Superman, but
have you or you guys going to read Superman? Okay, that was the last thing. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that is it, guys. So thank you so much. I got this comment here. Super Comic Girl, your channel is awesome. That's very nice. Appreciate it. And all right, guys. So we're gonna head on out. We appreciate you guys watching tonight. You know, hanging tight with us with all this news. Hopefully, the three of us will be back. No, I won't be on next week.
You won't be on next week. Well, hopefully it'll be me and Brant. Because you will hopefully have a show.
Yeah, next week is my last week at tennis camp. And I also have all my night classes returning also next week. So
next week we won't, but hopefully the week after.
The week after, yeah, tennis camp is over. So I should be back on a regular basis again.
Yeah, so which you did, I think, a good job as well as you can to be on most of the shows.
I tried. I was on 3 of them at least. So
yeah. Also, 10 weeks. I should mention I will be at Terrificon this weekend. So if you guys are in the Connecticut area, Terrificon.
Oh, I thought
it's
Trick or Treat Con. I was
Trick or Treat Con would be another interesting one. Who knows? Maybe we'll do that. But Terrificon, it's a medium-sized Comic Con. They have a lot of great guests there. So it's one I've heard great things about as a comic convention. So it's kind of like Baltimore Comic Con that way, where it's like a comic convention. So we'll be there. So visit us. And also I have a Kickstarter coming out August 8th for the Dancer issue 3. So I'll leave a link for that. Other than that, that's all. Also, I'll return for my reviews tomorrow because I did not have reviews because of Comic-Con last week. I'm traveling every single week in August. So yay me.
All right, guys. So thank you so much. As always, guys, make sure you subscribe to Comic Book Weekly and Comic Book Corner 2.0 so you don't miss a show or a video from us. Give this video a like. It does definitely help the algorithm. Don't forget to follow us on social media, which is obviously Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, of course, the big one, YouTube. Like it, bell, subscribe. You know all the drill, guys. So again, thank you so much. And hopefully Kat and Brant will see you next week, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Guys, take care and have a great new comic book day.